Hey, what's up, everybody? Great to see you as always. Happy Tuesday. Listen, you know what to do. You're here on the Glosso America YouTube channel. Hit like, hit subscribe, turn on your notifications, and let's get after it. Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite average to good podcast. Call it what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Davies and Tony Meola. And guys, we have a great show today. Not only are we going to discuss what the Americans are doing around the world, hitting the back of the nets, doing good things, positive things. We also have a very special guest joining us, PSV's sporting director, former U.S. men's national team great, and U.S. soccer sporting director, Earnie Stewart's going to be joining the show. I can't wait to get him on and to discuss a lot of things. Club, country, his thoughts on that. And then, Chuck, you had a very eventful MLS Media Day. And so we got some interviews that we're going to kind of – any highlights that you can tease before we get to that part of the show?
Well, you guys got to see a little bit. I mean,
a little bit.
Tim Ream, right? You got to see a little bit. But
yeah,
what I was pleasantly surprised about was that the fact that every single player who came by had something to share. Like they were upbeat. They had a positive mentality. The World Cup come the summer, whether they were participating or they're trying to participate in it, everyone had good vibes. I had never interacted with Prince Owusu or Marco Pasalic, Peter Musa. There were guys that I've never seen speak. I've never talked to, and they had some great insight just on the game. Hopes for this summer, and I was moved by the optimism about Major League Soccer and the growth of it, and what the World Cup will do for the youth in our country.
Man, that was a really good lead-in, Chuck. Well done. I'm excited to hear what they have to say later on the show.
I've grown. You know what I mean?
Hey, he started the show, everyone, as a kid, and now he's a grown-ass man. Well done,
Chuck.
We're really proud of you.
I got the Tony Meola, vibes with the keeper kit. This is like a retro 90s throwback goalkeeper
it's
kit.
Looking sharp. I didn't know what was happening there, but now that I know it's a goalkeeper kit, that makes a lot more sense.
I'm flying through the air like Tony.
I'm glad Chuck got his goalkeeper gear from U.S. Soccer.
Now, Tones, you took the risk of inviting Chuck over for dinner. How was he as a dinner guest?
Oh man, they were great.
Polite and respectful. And Davies as well.
You crazy? I mean, yeah, no doubt. My wife loved I had obviously Charlie and Davies from this show. You weren't in, or you'd have been here too. And then I had my buddies from SiriusXM there too. So we had like 6 or 7 guys over, and it was awesome, man. I mean, they can tell you more about the food and all that stuff. I enjoyed it, but it was just good to have the guys around. And
how much food did I eat, Jones?
Oh, dude, I'm telling you what, this guy eats so much. Remember when we went to sushi? I said to my wife, I'm like, when Charlie comes, I've never been. Maybe it's just sushi. Like I've never been out with anyone who orders more rolls. And then like it was silent. Like everyone put their piled their plate on, and again he could tell you how the food was, but then all of a sudden it was like silent, and Charlie like left the table. I'm like, okay, maybe Charlie's got to go to the bathroom. My man sat down with another first serving. This was not like a follow up. Sometimes you need a little like one more
little seconds.
You need some. No, Chuck, man. He blew it out. It was awesome, man. We had fun.
I love it,
man. Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm a little jealous. Next time I'm going to come for sure. And I'll see if I can match the output or input that Chuck is putting on.
I don't know, dude. There's probably a lot of things you can match. I'm not sure. And then I was putting the desserts were fired too, man. So I went to our favorite Italian deli here, and I'm like, I got some guys coming over, like make a tray, like give me. They're like, well, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know, just give me like the tray, give me, mix it up, man. Cannolis went like, I mean, it's so like typical, right? But they just went in the flash. So we had a blast, man. But it was good just to be outside. We knew what we were doing down there. We're down for work, and I'm with Charlie. The interviews were incredible. But just to get away from like talking about work all the time, I love it. I can do that. So I can do that before you can give me the best restaurant in the world, whatever it is. I'd rather sit around my table with my friends and just do that.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, really well said. Well, speaking of work, let's get to it. Big Tones. Let's talk Americans abroad, because there were some notable weekend performances from not just the players, but also a coach. We're going to start with Joe Scally, who is playing a little right wing back for Borussia Mönchengladbach. Found himself in the box. I mean, didn't just find himself in the box, was like the highest guy in there, trying to get on the end of crosses and scored the first goal, ultimately the game winner for Mönchengladbach in their 4-0 win over Augsburg. Gio Reyna, just because he's a teammate of Joe Scally, got 5 minutes in this game. He went into the winter break for the Bundesliga, starting for Mönchengladbach, comes out of it, not really doing much. Obviously, something we'll keep our eyes on. Fuller and Balogun scored the first goal for Monaco in their 3-1 Coup de France win versus Orleans, not New Orleans. This is the old Orleans. And then Pellegrino Matarazzo, our coach from New Jersey, baby, led Real Sociedad to a big 2-1 away win versus Getafe. They now are in the top half of La Liga, or right there in the middle of the table. That is big news for him in particular. Weston McKennie scored again, got a goal, and actually maybe should have had two. It was an own goal. The fourth and fifth goal of this game for Juve in their big 5-0 win versus Cremonese continues to put himself in good positions to make special things happen. We've had a lot of talk about Weston McKennie. We're going to have to keep going because the guy's been playing out of his mind. Ricardo Pepi, though, I think this could be the big conversation piece. Scores for PSV, but then suffers a crazy broken arm in a 5-1 win for PSV over Excelsior. He's trying to reach back, just to describe it for everybody. Ball goes wide, guy taps it across, and it's just a little bit behind Ricardo, and as he tries to adjust, he's watching the ball, and as he lands, his arm just like buckles underneath him. I actually don't even want you to go try to find it because it's not fun to watch. And now he's going to be out for a couple months, resident number 9, Charlie Davies. I mean, how unlucky is Ricardo Pepi? As soon as he gets healthy and starts to find form, all of a sudden some freak injury happens, and he's going to be out for, it looks like, 2 months. So it's probably out for the March window, but hopefully he'll come back and be ready to go. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think I can offer some good insight when it comes to broken bones.
Man.
In terms of injuries, right? What I love about Ricardo Pepi is he's so resilient. Like, he's had some major setbacks in terms of playing career, inopportune times of injuries. I mean, is there ever a good time for an injury? But that, not making a World Cup roster, these are real lows, but he finds a way to get back on the pitch and grind. So I absolutely love that about him. Now, I think on the bright side, in terms of a major break, we're talking about your forearm, 8 to 12 weeks, typically, right, for a broken bone. This isn't going to alter the way he plays. This isn't, it's your arm. So it's not a broken femur. It's not a broken fib. Like, that's the positive when we're talking about Ricardo Pepi. And would you really doubt him getting back to a place where, he's still going to be banging in goals and be sharp? No, I'm not worried at all. So I think on the bright side, in terms of an injury that keeps you out for that type of length, he's going to be back on the pitch banging goals again.
No, that's a great point too, because it's not a leg injury, right? He can still hop on the bike, right? He can. I guess it's more of a fitness thing. Yes, I guess he still theoretically could be eligible for the March window. And my concern was fitness, but because he can still run, right? I guess it's just going to depend on his pain tolerance. And obviously they don't want to move it around maybe too soon if it's a compound fracture. I'm not a doctor. I'm just making up these words. But if it's something significant, they have to be thoughtful about that. But because he can get on a bike and do some other things to maintain his fitness, then I guess maybe the March window isn't completely ruled out. But we'll have to wait and see. Well, guess what? We have PSV sporting director Earnie Stewart coming on later. He can maybe answer some of these questions for us. Big Tones, any of these players standing out for you this weekend? I mean, fellow New Jerseyan Pellegrino Matarazzo getting the win is a big deal for Sociedad.
Yeah, I think it's called the Great State of New Jersey, Jim. Look, him getting his first win, come up Barcelona next for him, right? So it's a major challenge. But just historically, what it means for a young American manager, still relatively young with regards to that profession. So good for him, and we're rooting for him. The other one is Weston McKennie. And not to open up the conversation we had last week about who the best midfielders, all that stuff. I was just thinking, like, it's been like 4 years of Juventus trying to almost like get rid of Weston, right? Like, there's been like 4 years of he's in camp, he's not invited to preseason camp, he's not going to be with the team, they're going to get transferred out, and now he's coming to the end of his contract. And I can't imagine there's one person in Juventus that wants to get rid of him, right? And he might end up
not a single person.
Like it's just like the cycle of where Weston McKennie is and how this whole thing is played out. You guys know I follow Serie A, so I look at that Juventus side, and I can't imagine, even last year when things weren't going well and the number of positions he played, for them. I can't imagine that you would want to get rid of him, and they're probably going to lose one of their biggest assets. I don't know that I'd call him the best player in the team or any of that, because there's other guys. I mean, it's just a matter. A lot of it's the eyeball test. Some of it's numbers. Some of it is, need and position. But I will call him the most valuable guy, because anytime you needed somebody to play left back, actually last year he played as a dual number 9 with Coop Miners. Like anytime you needed Jimmy on a day, hey, we're short over here because Vlahovic is injured. Weston McKennie, we'll put him there, right? Like, and now you might lose the guy in the end. And that's just the cycle's amazing.
Can I lean back to you, Tones? Because you have a little bit more coaching experience than Charlie and I. Like, what's the value of having somebody in your team that can just go out and do the job, right? Like, you can go out and trust this player. They might not be the best fit for that position, but they're going to give you a 7 out of 10 at a minimum, and potentially more, to have someone like a jack of trades like Weston proves to be.
Yeah, like I'll give you an example that everyone would know. Just the national team. And actually, we have Ernie coming on, so he would know this too. I always said this about Alexi Lalas, right? Alexi, for me, wasn't the best center back we have ever had. He wasn't the worst center back we ever had. He actually had a really good career. But you knew every game, to your point, you were going to get a 7 out of a 10. You were rarely going to get a 6. You're rarely going to get an 8. Occasionally you would, because you'd end up on the end of a restart and get you a goal every now and then. But you knew exactly what you were going to get. So from a coaching standpoint, there are positions on the field, and me, center back, is one. Like, if my number 10 makes mistakes, if my wide guys make mistakes, I can live with all of that. But if you got a center back making a big mistake every other game, like, that's a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and Weston's just been a guy where he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's got a great footballing mind. We know he's got heart, and he'll fight, and he'll do all those sort of intangible things. And now this year, what does he have? 5 goals or something? I forget what he has this year. But anyway, he comes up with big goals. This one was a striker, 4 goals total. So this one comes in a moment where they didn't need a goal, but he gets on the end of it, and it's a great finish. I mean, Charlie, as a striker, you'd have taken that finish any day of the week, right?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
So 4 goals for Weston McKennie so far this season, 2 in Serie A in the last 2 weeks, and 2 in the Champions League. Another conversation I want us to have is just about Joe Scally playing right wing back for Mönchengladbach, Chuck, and getting himself in attacking areas. I mean, this is something that we're seeing under Mauricio Pochettino. Things evolve, right? Whether it's Freeman coming in and dancing and getting up high, Max Arston doing similar things in the last few camps, which has been fun to see. And now Scally maybe throwing his hat in the ring, even though we kind of see him as one of the holding of the back 3, right? One's that's going to sit at home, do the job, be one of those 7 out of 10 guys defensively. Just play simple in every other situation. Give it to the other guys. That was kind of my role when I was coming through. So I know that role well. But we have also a very, very promising young talent in Noah Kai Banks, who's obviously demonstrating that he's someone we can trust moving forward. We've had this conversation before, but if Scally continues to play and provide maybe this type of dynamic to his game, where he could be one of those ones in the 3, but also maybe we could put him in a pinch out wide, even though we have plenty of other options. Do you think there's a kind of Scally versus Banks competition going on right now between who can make the roster?
No, I don't. And unfortunately for Joe Scally at this moment, you have Sergino Dest and Timothy Weah, and then you probably would throw in Alex Freeman and Weston. So you're throwing a number of the talent and the depth is extremely high. I think for Joe Scally, all you can do is control how you perform every match and do your absolute best, and consistency, I think, will help him. At least give him a chance or a shot to make this World Cup roster. But a number of players, it feels like, it's set in. You need to perform every day, every week to make sure that you have your best chance to get into the World Cup this summer. And I think fortunately for us, we're starting to see a lot of guys putting in strong performances to make sure that Mauricio Pochettino has their attention.
Now Scally did start the Paraguay game. The one that we won 2-1 recently, Big Tones. But I feel like if we're doing a like for like, someone that can play that in the middle of the 3 or our 3, and then also can do some wing back stuff. For me, Alex Freeman is above Joe Scally. Would you agree with that? that sentiment?
Yeah, and the fact that he's played both positions for Pochettino, I get the sense that they lean more towards Alex Freeman, just sort of a lot of improvement over the last couple months, the new and up and coming guy. Where Joe Scally's had some chances. I will say this though, the big knock on Joe Scally coming out of some of those camps was what, and I go back to, you guys will have to help me. Was it Jamaica game, right? Second leg when Joe Scally was there in that right center back position when Anthony Robinson was doing, the thing going into the midfield.
Yeah.
We just kept saying, like, when is Joe Scally going to get forward? So maybe this is the sort of the idea for Joe Scally in the evolution of his game is, can you get forward a little bit more? We know defending is the biggest responsibility for you. So my point is I give him credit for taking that next step, right? Getting forward. And maybe that's how he was asked to play before, but now he's being asked to play a little bit differently. We never know those discussions until we either hear them from somebody or we just got to decipher them ourselves because we're not in training in all these clubs every day. So I like the fact that he is adding that part to his game. How it equates to the national team, I think it's hard right now for Joe Scally to I don't know if any of us had him in our World Cup team. I don't think I did in our 26, our last pick. I think it's hard right now with the number of guys that are there. Charlie rattled those guys off. So I'm just happy for him that he's adding it to his game.
Yeah, again, I think you said this before, Big Tones. We want to give Mauricio Pochettino as many headaches as possible with roster selection. And if Joe Scally continues to play well and can demonstrate that he can be successful in a couple of different positions, it's just going to add another headache. And of course, you always want to be well positioned. Like, hey, if somebody gets hurt, I want to be the next guy up, right? So there's still a lot of value in being that guy. And that was a mentality that I took when I was trying to break into the roster as well. Okay, last topic before we get to our first break and then our special guest right after that, Earnie Stewart. Let's talk with our resident number 9 here, Charlie Davies, about Josh Sargent, because right now there's some smoke in this transfer window that he could be leaving Norwich to go to Toronto FC for a bid for $18 million from an MLS club, which I believe would be the third highest transfer in MLS history. Sargent made himself unavailable for Norwich's FA Cup game, against Walsall this past weekend. His manager, Philippe Clement, said, Josh sent me a message saying he would not be available because of transfer things in his head. This is obviously not something we want. It will have consequences. It is something we need to speak about inside the club. But the club has made it really clear to Josh and his agent that he will not be leaving during this transfer window.
Oof.
Drama. Dun, dun, dun. So I guess there's a lot of questions here. Is Sargent worth $18 million? We know that Wolfsburg, I think, put out $20 million over the summer. What would be the price tag for him?
That seems a lot to me. That's all I'm going to say. We can have Ernie when it comes to like discussion around transfer fees, but Major League Soccer bringing back an American who has been, a World Cup veteran. He's played in the championship. Again, EFL championship coming to MLS. I mean, Latte Lot, remember how much money he came for. That doesn't necessarily mean, success right off the bat. And we know the kind of player Josh Sargent is, but to spend that type of money, I'm not seeing it. I don't see the financial benefits for Toronto FC in terms of making that money back for that type of price tag. But ultimately, we hear about it all the times. I know players when they're in discussions around transfers that they would like to pursue. Typically, you send that message, hey, coach, I really want to leave. I'm not in a good frame of mind to focus. And that's kind of like the process starting of you saying, I want to make this move. I want to leave. I'm letting it be known by my teammates and my coaches and the front office that this is an opportunity I want to pursue. Maybe Wolfsburg was not for him, going back to Bundesliga wasn't an interest for him, but coming to MLS and probably the salary that he commands is enough for him to say, I'm ready to take that chance.
Can we talk about sending a text to your coach before the game?
When you're captain too, right? Yeah, and
for me, and then your guy who replaces you, didn't he score a hat trick?
Yeah, Makama, right? The 21-year-old English player,
and he's actually done well.
Yeah,
he's done well in the injury time that he said this opportunity, but Like I just think you got to walk in the office, man, and on Friday, not on,
Go
or I
face
don't
to
know when the
face
game
it.
was, the day before, and go, hey, I just want to let you know, man, I have had this on my mind. Your manager's still going to be pissed, right?
But at least you give him the opportunity to say, you know what,
right? Yeah,
fight through it and play,
right. That's
Like,
where I was going.
right.
Yeah,
yeah. Versus I'm taking
But you
myself
get to
out.
think about, you guys just got your license to, you want to coach one day, right? Think about, you get that text. What do you do? What do you do at that point? Like, can you possibly play him? Like, because you're like, holy cow, I know he's the injury and all this, but can you?
I would pick up the phone. I think I would just cut.
I think
through.
I would too. Yeah.
I would cut right
Come
through.
see me.
Yeah, come
Yeah.
see me.
Coffee.
Let's talk in person. You'd have
Yeah.
to, because a text is very informal, and there's a lot of nuance and subtlety.
That's a no go. That's a no go.
Yeah, you can't text. I find that surprising that he sent a text. Yeah, I mean, we could have a whole segment just on the psychology of that alone, and what kind of message that sends, especially as a leader of the team. And this could doesn't come out of nowhere.
Means it means you want to go ultimately.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
If you're doing that, there is a level of disrespect there, but at the end of the day, it's clear he wants to leave.
I think what's funny too is that he's like, you know what's going to help me make the World Cup roster? Toronto FC. Come on, dude. Yeah, you might get more playing time, but listen, I love Robin Fraser and yeah, they've got some good pieces in place to maybe have success this season, but it hasn't looked good over the last couple of years. And so you can't be like, yeah, Toronto FC is going to be the place that really is a jump start for me to make the World Cup roster. I mean, I don't, it's less about MLS. I think that's proven that under Mauricio Pochettino, you can play in an MLS and play at a good level, and that's fine. I'm just saying specifically Toronto FC seems like an interesting destination, all things considered. Yeah, I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, stay for the jokes, everybody, or leave for the jokes, but stay for our next guest. Earnie Stewart's going to be joining us right after this break, so do not go anywhere.
The clock never stops. Relive the greatest moments with uninterrupted highlights and more.
It's Gareth Bale! Ronaldo! Wonderful goal!
On the UEFA Champions League channel. Streaming free.
All right, welcome back into the show. I'm Conrad Dino alongside, I guess, chow chasing Chuck, who likes to eat. If you didn't know that before, fun fact about Chuck, especially when he goes to Big Tones' house, you love to see it. That's a very respectful guest. Just go plate after plate after plate. We're very excited, though, to have another special guest joining us. Listen, we know that we're an average to good show, but we have good to great guests, and we have another one joining us today. PSV's sporting director, former U.S. men's national team great, and sporting director for U.S. Soccer as well before going to PSV. It's Earnie Stewart. We're going to welcome to the show. Ernie, great to see you as always.
Good to be on the show.
Yes,
not
of
too
course.
bad, thank you.
You've got the black turtleneck on. I feel like you're in your Steve Jobs' zone right now.
It's certainly colder over here.
I love it. So I have a ton of questions to ask. I know everybody else does as well. But we got to start with Ricardo Pepi. How unlucky is that injury from your perspective? And what do you do knowing that he was really on the precipice of just kicking on and having a fantastic season?
Yeah, first of all, it's very unfortunate for Ricardo. This has been now a couple of injuries in a row that he's had, so that that also has some backlash for himself in the sense of how you trust your body and everything, which is unnecessary, I'd say, in this regard. One was a meniscus. This one has to do with his forearm. Broke his forearm. That was Saturday, so he was operated on Sunday. But yeah, very unfortunate for Ricardo, and especially with the eye of the World Cup coming up in the summer and everything. He was really on pace to at least make sure he performs for PSV, scores goals for PSV, and then hopefully is part of the World Cup squad.
Ernie, great to see you, man. Love having you on. To walk us into what Ricardo Pepi is as a professional, because a lot of I told you before the show, I've only had a chance to interview him one time, right? He seems like a kid that goes every day and works his ass off and is trying to improve every part of the game. Like, walk us through who Ricardo Pepi is, because I'm sure a lot of our fans just don't know much about him.
Yeah, Ricardo, first of all, he's a great kid. Second of all, he has this innate way of scoring goals. It's amazing. when I sit in the stands and the general director, our CEO of the club, like when he touches his first ball, we know if it's going to go in the back of the net because he's so good at that piece. And the piece that he's been working on is especially playing through. So, being the link up man as a center forward, and he's worked extremely hard on that. So he's come to a certain point now for us where we've made a choice that he's going to be our number one center forward after Luc de Jong leaving us
Mhm.
and going to Porto. Yeah, we made that choice, and he's deserved that because he's worked extremely hard for this, and that's why it's so unfortunate that this injury occurred again.
So Ernie, in being around some top strikers for a long time, I know you had Josie at Alkmaar, and Josie was performing at an extremely high level. You got him back into the swing of things. You brought Ricardo Pepi because you knew he had potential, but you had Luc de Jong there, and Peter Bosch loved Luc de Jong and what he brought to the squad. But what is his ceiling? Because it seems like whenever he did get that moment to come off the bench, he made a difference. And
Yep.
you keep doing it, and to a certain point, you're like, hey, I'm ready now. But he was always kind of relegated to the bench and had to stick with that role. Where he is now, you decided he's the number one striker. But what is his top side if skill set if he gets to fulfill his potential under you?
Well, obviously, Holland is known for a stepping stool for bigger and better. So when we bought him from Augsburg, we had a plan for him in the sense that we knew that Luc de Jong would be here. We also knew that Luc de Jong at one point would retire or take another step, and it was hard for a period for Ricardo, just in the sense that the way we play, we only play with one center forward, and that they're them playing together didn't happen that much. It was only if we were in panic and we're down one goal or anything like that. Luckily, that didn't happen much in my time here, so that's a good thing. But on the other side, it's for Ricardo that was frustrating at times. But he worked through that. He always worked hard. He's a real good character within our group, and where his potential lies. Yeah, it's he has something uncanny about him when he strikes a ball. It's amazing to see. It's one of the best I've ever seen in a player. Once again, once he touches the ball around the 18-yard box, it's always on frame, and it's on frame really hard. So that's something that he just has, and that's a huge talent. And that's why I think, even though PSV we're playing at a great level, playing Champions League at the same time, but I also feel that there's even more for Ricardo in store.
So Ernie, you guys have a 13-point lead at the top of the Eredivisie. Things can change quickly, so you don't want to take that for granted, of course.
No, not at all.
I mean, you have a couple Champions League games left in the group stages, away to Newcastle and then home to Bayern Munich. So obviously two stiff opponents and
Easy games.
Yeah, I love it. You said it. I was going to say it, but you said it. Do you make any moves in the transfer window? Because there had been reports that you turned down a bid for 35 million from Fulham for Ricardo Pepi. But now that he's hurt,
25
million. Okay. So 25 million. Now that he's hurt, do you go try to hit the window, or are you like, hey, we got what we got in terms of the lead in Eredivisie, and we think we can manage until he gets back?
Yeah, well, we're actually working through that right now because there's, it's not only about Ricardo. We actually have two other center forwards that are injured at this moment. One's going to be back at the end of February, I'd say. The other one's going to be back the beginning of March. But how are they going to come back? And the Ricardo, from the moment that he was operated on, is 2 months. So in a perfect world, at one point, it could be that we have 4 center forwards if we buy one. So this is something that we're working through now, just to make sure that we make the right choice. It does look like, we have to look at this just because we have a lot of games. For Champions League, it's not going to help because we can't, we can't renew the
register them.
roster until
Yeah,
after the window. So it's not
Okay.
going to help for Champions League, but certainly for the run for becoming a champion again, which we do not take for granted. And we were leading the league last year with 6 points and then dropped behind after that. So yeah, we can't take that for granted, and we want to become champion, play Champions League again next year. So as I said, we're working through that right now, but yeah, it does look that it's going at least. We're making sure we have our eye on our list and the center forwards that we could possibly bring in. But at the same time, we would only do that if it really makes sense and it makes us better.
Give you Charlie Davies for free. He has got about 12 minutes a game in him right now.
Ernie
That's
already
11 more than I have.
Hey, Ernie already got me, Ernie had me in Philly.
Hey, just curious, just why have Americans been able to find success, not only PSV, but in the Dutch league, right? Because we've seen some Americans go there and kind of, it's a growing league. We know that, right? It's a place, you mentioned it, right? It's a place where you go and you improve on different skill sets. But why do you think Americans in particular have had success there?
Well, one, it has to do with the league that we have. It's a very offensive-minded and attacking league. Then the talent that we bring in from the United States are usually younger, talented players that still have a lot of room to grow. And just that combination of Americans and Holland, the culture here, I think is easy to adapt to. I think it's tougher for an American to make his first choice in Germany, as an example, or some other countries. Holland is just really, really easy when it comes from a cultural aspect. So it's not only for Americans, I'd say that's for, some other cultures as well. And the combination of that makes it easier for younger players to come here. We will play them no matter how young you are. I heard the saying, especially from American football, you play younger players, you get fired as a coach. That's something that doesn't happen here in Holland. If they have the talent, they will be played, and because that's part of the business model that there is. So the chances that they get, combined with I'd say the character of an American player is also something that Dutch people love, and what our fans love to see. So, we've been very fortunate with a couple of players here now, from the likes of Malik Tillman, Sergino Dest, and Ricardo Pepi, but also Richard Ledesma. They've all done well here.
So, if you could walk me through how you've grown as a sporting director, because I remember with the Philadelphia Union how you changed the game in terms of making it much more professional, holding everyone accountable. The organizational structure, I think, benefited when you were there, because you were able to change it and kind of streamline the youth piece to the professional and making that pipeline. You go to the U.S. men's national team, you get a group back into a World Cup from 2018 where we failed, and then you move to PSV. You win the Eredivisie in your first season. How have you grown as a sporting director? Where have you changed, and what's ultimately the goal for you?
Well, to start with, just how I started out. After my career, I was lucky and fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time. I can't explain it any other way. At VV Venlo, they were looking for a technical director at the time, and somebody thought that I'd be a good fit in that. It's as simple as that. I wish I could make a even better story of it, but being in the right place at the right time. Um, and they allowed me to make mistakes, which I probably made, I don't know, dozens, and hopefully I didn't make them all the time, the same mistake twice or three times in a row. um, but I didn't know much. I only knew, how I, as a player, looked at a technical director, saw that, thought some things were great, other things I thought I'd never do in my life. So I went about my business. Then I went to NAC Breda, a club that was always in, you know, uh, problems with finances, so you had to be creative. And then I went to AZ Alkmaar, and I'd have to say, from just that's probably who I am this day. with more experience, but consistency, continuity, having a plan, a vision of how you want to play, and then actually making decisions based on that plan and that vision that you have. So it was fun after that to go to the Philadelphia Union, a relative new club, I'll just call it, and try to put all those things together in and go about your business there. U.S. national team was just I'd say that was a great experience in itself, just because it's in a different way. And can you actually, the way you go about your business in a club, can you do that from a national team perspective? Which I think Greg and myself, once we started those talks, I think for a big part was good, in the sense that we chose for a certain group that could develop themselves and become better, because I remember all the critics that there were in the beginning when we lost against Brazil and all that kind of stuff. Except, yeah, you have to build something, and you have to dare to, as I said about Holland, play young players, and they will make mistakes. That's just part of it. But eventually they'll get better and better. And now at PSV Eindhoven, all that has come together. It's a big club in Holland. Financially, we're in very good shape, which also allows you not only to have like a vision of how you want to play, but actually bring players in that can fit that vision as well. So all these things came together here at PSV. So this is the second year in a row that we became champion, and this is then in our third year where we're leading the league now with 13 points, and hopefully don't give that away and become champion for the third time in a row, which is just, yeah, it's great. And you know, on the other hand, do I have goals? And I can't say I'm a planner in that regard. I'm where I am right now.
Yeah,
And
but are we going to
just
see Ernie at Milan or Barca, or are we going to continue to see you if that opportunity presented
Charlie,
itself?
the only thing I can say about that, I work hard every single day just to be the best version of myself, and things happen and some things don't happen. And I can plan all I want, but as long as I, within my, who I am and who I want to be, try to get better every single day, we'll see where it all ends up. But
All
I'm
right.
a happy camper, I can tell you right now. So
I think what I love about your story, Ernie, especially in this part of your career, this phase of your career, is that you're not skipping any steps. Like, you went and did the hard work when nobody was watching. You made mistakes, you got better at it, and now it's made you more well-rounded, and it's led to some tremendous success. And so,
What's
shout
the
out to
best mistake you've made?
signing Charlie
ooh.
Davies to the Philadelphia Union.
Probably the biggest mistake that I made is I won't mention the name because I don't think that's respectful, but uh, I actually had a talk with a coach at one point, myself and my assistant at the time, or the head of scouting it was. We sat down with the coach, and we told him how we wanted to play, how we were going to run the club and everything. And then the second conversation was the two of us together with a coach and somebody from the advisory board, which is just a couple of steps and layers that you need to take. And he started repeating everything that we said. So I thought, whoa, we got a great coach, and found out after 2 or 3 weeks, like, whoa, what did we do? Because he wasn't that person at all. He just, he wanted the job really bad. So in that regard, you know, I've learned that you have to go deeper. You have to ask more questions, and it's not what you uh, want it to be. It's you have to ask questions to see if he fits within what you want it to be. And so I'd say that was one of the bigger mistakes that I made. Um, Luckily, things went okay, but at the same time, it wasn't the best hire at the time.
So I actually want to talk to you about U.S. men's national team. You've seen the group that we have, and you had a tremendous career. We got to start there. 101 caps, 17 goals. You played for 3 World Cup teams, 94, 98, 2002. You scored against Colombia. Unbelievable. Home World Cup, 94. How are you feeling about our chances? And you see the group, and obviously this is a lot of the core players that you and Greg were selecting back in the day to kind of lead us to this moment ultimately, right? I mean, I assume you were projecting out like, okay, yes, we want to have success in 2022, but that's just for us to to get that valuable experience so we can really kick on for 2026. What are your thoughts on the U.S. overall?
Yeah, I'd say tough period. What was it, a year back now, where you go from one coach to another coach, and at the same time, you get to a place where you now also, um, it's not clear what it's going to be for the future and what the roster is going to look like and everything. However, the American player in itself, and now over the last couple of months, and I have to be honest that I can't follow it as much as I maybe would like to, and know
Unacceptable.
the exact ins and outs and everything. But at the same time, I do think we still have extremely a lot of talent. And if that gels together, as we've seen over the last couple of months, and how they've played and how they've gotten results, being in front of your home fans, and I think it can be a success. I really do. Happy for Malik Tillman too, because
Mhm.
through the adversity that there was with the national team at the time, he got his chance and he showed himself. And I think Malik Tillman is one of the best players ever to put on an American jersey as well. Not only from his potential that he has, but just, yeah, he's one, a great person, but two, also a tremendous player. So I'm happy to see that. And overall, I think we have uh, good and great talent that we can, that will do well during the World Cup.
Ernie, just curious. Obviously, you talked about the 22 World Cup, right? You were a big piece of constructing that whole thing. I think second youngest team, right, in that tournament, and lose to the Netherlands. What was the thought process after that World Cup, where the direction we're going is a good direction, and we're going to be home in 4 years at a World Cup, and this is our expectation for that group? I know things have changed since, but just immediately after that World Cup, where did you think the trajectory of this particular group, because there hasn't been a ton of change, there's going to be a lot of overlapping players, where did you guys think it was going?
Well, you hope that one, you do well during the World Cup of 22, and then second of all, that everybody is in a place at a club where they all play, they make a lot of minutes, they gain the experience that they need. That you have games, from a national team perspective, that means something, which is really difficult, because in Nations League is great, but you can't say like it's not World Cup qualifying.
Right.
So, you miss out on that a little bit. Obviously, the Gold Cup, and that makes it more. But all those experiences, that you hope that team just grows and grows. Because one thing I've learned, just over the years that I've done this, consistency, continuity, and the experience that you gain together. And I remember when Greg and I were talking, we looked into, what successful teams and world champions all, what kind of traits do they have? And one of the things that came through was like a lot of teams that have played together for a longer period of time, and players that have played together for a longer period of time, understand each other without, even having a coach in front of them. They just know from one another what's needed, what the roles, responsibilities were. So those are things that we took into account, and with that, all the experience, all the games that they played, hopefully being at good clubs, that they would just grow and grow from the experiences that one they had, during the World Cup. The Olympics was part of that as well in the thought process, and then taking that to 26, all those experiences, and then blowing up.
Which leads me to the U.S. men's national team finally getting a coach that has this, name recognition around the world, right? Mauricio Pochettino. It was going to take some time to catch up, to understand the scope within U.S. soccer, and the amount of players, and Major League Soccer, and all the learning that goes into it. But ultimately, when you're in a World Cup match and you have experience, and it's not necessarily about the names on the team sheet, as we saw Morocco get to the third place game last year, last World Cup. We saw South Korea in 2002. But it's all about what the group does, and relying on the strengths of the group and the experience. So what do you think it'll actually mean when Mauricio Pochettino brings his experience combined with the prior experience that they learned in 2022?
I hope a lot. In the end, though, even though Mauricio Pochettino is a very, very experienced coach at a club level, he's been a national team coach for a year. So those experiences that come during a World Cup, those are going to be new for him too. So you always have to go back to the experience that you have as a coach and how you handle players, and you're going to have to rely on your players too as well. So even though he is a very experienced coach, national team is just a little bit different. And another thing that we've also saw when we were going through that, at least in my mind, there haven't been many world champions that had a foreign coach, which is an extra element to, the thought process back then with Greg. And you can also say the first time is getting nearer and nearer every day. So that's also the case. But it does say something about the cultural fit, I think, that there is between the technical staff and the group. But what I see now from the outside is that was maybe a troubling start, but people are getting to learn one another now. And when I hear Sergino come back from camp now, Malik, after his experience, he was back here in Holland for a little bit and spoke to him about it. Ricardo Pepi, everybody feels very comfortable in camp now, which is just, that's the basis of everything.
All right, Ernie, we know you're incredibly busy. We appreciate your time, and we have a tradition here on the show. Jersey swap. What's your best jersey swap of your career? And I know that you probably have plenty of options to choose from, very similar to Big Tones.
No, I know it, but I'll also say the same thing, or I'll say one thing about it. So I swapped jerseys with Romario after our game.
What a flex!
End the show. Romario.
But there's a story to this. So as Tony will know, well, as all you guys will know, you take your shirt and you give it to the kit man to get washed. It never came back.
No way.
Our kit guy?
No.
Our guy didn't give it back to you?
No, I don't know where it went. But it was washed. You put the number in there that it goes to, but
This is a
investigate.
This is a
somebody else. Wow.
This is a cardinal sin. I even knew this. When you get that jersey, that thing doesn't leave your sight. It goes right into your bag, and that thing stays tight. And you bring it home and you wash it at home. You don't even give that opportunity because that thing is gonna be gone.
We'll just call it a rookie mistake, Charlie.
Wow.
Come on.
I had some games. I had some games under my belt too, but still made the mistake.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So after Romario, what's the next best one?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's number 2?
What's the one that you kept?
Ronaldo. The young Ronaldo, huh?
Forget it.
That was during the Copa America in Uruguay.
You got
Romario
to Ronaldo.
I'm gonna toss this mic through the wall.
Damn.
He was a reserve player, Charlie, huh?
It doesn't matter.
He was a young.
It makes it even better.
And it was number 20, so it's a little. But after that, I would say Paulo Maldini.
Oh, hell no, Ernie.
Stop. Yes. Romario, Ronaldo, and Maldini. Come on.
This is like the best of all time. Yeah, it is.
Wow.
You've
and I have 2 of them, so that's good.
God.
That is unbelievable.
Man, he just built the Mount Rushmore of traded jerseys.
I've got
damn.
Wow.
Damn.
What was the worst jersey you ever got?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, George Weah.
I got Weah.
There were some ugly ones. I remember we played Australia one time. They had a kit. I forgot who I traded with, but the kit was so ugly. So that's got to be the one.
Unbelievable. Ernie, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate your insight, and these stories are fantastic. And we wish you and PSV the best of luck the rest of the season. Earnie Stewart, everybody.
Thank you so much. You guys have a good one.
All right, we're going to take our last week and call what you want when we come back. More of the good stuff. So keep it right here.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus comes out swinging. The highlight machine collides with the Liverpool phenom, and the Hall of Famer returns to take on the Bantamweight champion. UFC 324, Saturday, January 24th, only on Paramount Plus.
My mind is still blown.
I can't
I'm
even.
telling
I know.
you right
I don't
now.
even have like a proper.
I have
He's a
Ronaldo.
phenomenal.
What?
He's first of all, I said Romario, and Romario is an all-time great. I'm not gonna ever say anything about you swap a Romario. It's World Cup, right? 94, phenomenal. But you're gonna tell me you also have the young Fenomeno, and you have
I
said
think
Maldini.
that's more valuable.
He said Maldini as the third. Maldini.
Maldini's my guy. That's like my favorite defender of all time, and probably everybody else's favorite defender of all time. That's incredible. Tones. I know that you have incredible experiences that match Ernie's, but I don't know if you have a jersey collection just like that. So that is.
Well, I got Taffarells from the World
That's
Cup
pretty
game.
sick, though.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
yeah.
Pretty sick,
That is
but-
kind of big.
That's pretty
Yeah.
big. That's pretty big.
Yeah,
I know
but
goalkeepers don't maybe partake in that as much as I don't know. Maybe
they're
you
different. They're different. You're right,
do.
Jimmy.
They're different
They're-
position.
they're
They're not.
Yeah,
field
I
players.
really I wanted goalkeeper jerseys back
They're
in the
not
day,
field
you know?
players.
They're
Yeah.
not field players. Don't trigger them, Chuck. You're trying to trigger them. Don't bite. Don't bite. Don't bite.
Yeah.
All right. So
you gotta walk from one box all the way to
that's
the
a
other
far
box.
walk. That's
Yeah,
a far walk.
you know,
Wait,
like
Tries a
Hold
couple boxes after 100 games, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
I
boxes
knew
filled.
it was gonna come out. I knew.
Did you switch with anybody in 1990? Big Tones?
Yeah, I thought I had it framed here behind me, but it must be somewhere else. I have the Zenga jersey. That was a big one for me. Playing
yeah,
Italy.
yeah.
It's
Love
unbelievable.
Zenga.
The Zenga one is if you remember the old silver one.
Yep.
I have that. Yeah, I have that
Wow.
one. With the obviously the Italian Federation logo, and I have a plaque underneath it. But you probably I'm pointing in the right. This one's the first game right here of the World Cup. This is actually mine. I kept one of mine, the one in the second half.
As
I
you
switched
should.
at halftime.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zenga's for me was big. I was playing Italy and Rome, so
that's
like it doesn't
unbelievable.
like kind
I
of
only,
doesn't get
I
any
only
bigger
know
than
I only
that.
know Zenga from the New England Revolution. You know,
It's
so,
I know. I talked
yeah.
to my buddy Brian Dunseth. That's like a different Zenga than the Zenga that I was growing up playing against.
Zenga. Proper legend. Proper legend.
Yeah.
All right, so both of you guys did the rounds last week, MLS Media Day, and this is going to be we're going to start with Matt Turner.
Okay.
We got some sound from Matt Turner on competition with the U.S. men's national team. We're going to listen to that, and then obviously, Chuck, you can expand on maybe some other things that he said. But then Tones, obviously, we want you to chime in on his chances for the World Cup. Let's take a listen at this first one now.
When you're talking about the national team, it's the competition with you and Matt Friese and Klinsmann and Schulte. So as you're going through this season, how are you looking at this competition? What's going to get you further? Can you relate back to the younger Matt Turner when he's competing with Zach Steffen, for instance? How do you kind of balance that competition?
Yeah, I'd say it's always challenging. Competition's great though. It pushes you to be better. It helps you stay accountable week in and week out. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the challenges that are ahead. And to that Matt Turner from 4 years ago, I'm the same guy. You know what I mean? And that's what I have to, or had to, because I've done it. I had to remind myself, and that really helped when I came back to the Revs. I had a pretty solid 9 games that I played, and that is going to help me, come January or come February when the games start and the preseason's going, to be on the front foot, and that's what I want to do. I think I have it all in my control. I have the experience. I have the self-belief. I have the belief I know of my teammates. I know I have trust from the coaching staff because they've shown it to me by playing me in games and in important moments for them. So I got nothing to lose, and for me, it's kind of feels a little bit like that time because. I'm just really, really excited and looking forward to the challenges that are ahead.
So, Chuck, do you feel like now kind of reading body language, right? You get to see him, maybe talk to him off camera a little bit, that this is actually going to be a good thing for Matt Turner. Like, we're going to see a really challenge, because sometimes I say this, let me give some context. I had a tough time after I made the World Cup team in 2006, where I was kind of the underdog, right? I had everything to gain and nothing to lose. And then off of that tournament, it was the opposite. I was then expected to be the guy. And that was something I just never had to deal with throughout. Yes, at the club level, but for the national team, it just felt like, wow. And I struggled with it, and I internalized it, didn't talk to people about it, and I should have, and that's a different conversation we could save for another show. And I struggled with it, but I feel like Matt Turner in this moment, based on what I'm hearing, is that he's ready for that challenge. Yeah, maybe he had a little bit of time to work through an emotional process, feeling down that he's not the number one anymore. But I think a challenge, ready to go, Matt Turner is only good for Schulte and good for the whole goalkeeping situation for the U.S.
Yeah, I think in Turner's mind, he is the number one. That's how he has to think. If you're really going to go after it, Tony, you can attest to this. You can't believe you're second string. You got to believe, hey, I'm a starter. I'm a starting goalkeeper. How many times did Tony have to go against Friedel and Casey Keller and Tim Howard and a number of top goalkeepers? But you have to firmly believe you're the best of the bunch. And the only thing you have to do to show it is put together consistent performances. So I think in his mind, he thinks, I'm going to come into this season, 2026, and be an absolute beast. And with important performances, I'm going to rise up to, where it's undeniable that they have to give me a chance. And he's thinking if he has a strong first month and a half, that he'll get one start in one of those friendlies between Portugal and Belgium, and that he'll continue that performance into May. And then he's putting himself in a position to be the number one. I think that's what he believes, and he has to believe that if he really wants a chance to be the number one. Again, Matt Friese is in the driver's seat right now. So it's going to be a challenge, and Matt Friese, again, has to stay consistent, because it's another thing chasing the number one spot, getting the number one spot, and then keeping the number one spot through this first 6 months.
All right, Big Tones. We're now getting out of your way. We want to hear from our resident goalkeeper about Matt Turner and the situation with the goalkeepers.
I had the chance to interview both him and Matt Friese down there at MLS Media Day. And the one thing that stuck out to me was neither of them think like anything's locked and loaded, right? Like they both think that they got a battle. The one thing that stuck out, they both at some point said 6 months is a long time, right? Anything can happen in 6 months. Matt Turner talked about the change. I guess it was we had a Winter World Cup, but 6 months before the 22 World Cup compared to what it looked like at the World Cup, right? There was big changes. They both said they've got to be consistent. They've got to make plays. I think I asked Matt Friese, I said, are you comfortable in your body? Saying you're the number one goalkeeper. He was humble about it. Matt Turner did this prior to the 22 World Cup. And I said, I want a guy to go, no, man, I'm the effing number one guy, man.
Right.
I'm the guy. Like I'm your guy. Like, I don't want to hear, like, I never said, oh yeah, Casey's training well every day, or Brad Friedel's breathing down my neck, or Tim Howard's the young guy. Like, I hope that they never said it either. And I'm sure they never did. Like, I want one of them to go, no, I'm the best guy here. It's Mauricio Pochettino's decision in the end, but I'm the guy. I'm your guy, man. You want to win games, I'm your guy. Like, you might not say it in those words, but you understand what I'm getting at, right? Like, I want you to believe that you're the guy all the time. There's only one position, right, for the goal. It's not like you can mix it up. There's one guy. Every other position, you can add another guy if you think. You can put two forwards on if you want. Like, this is it. And I think Charlie nailed it, right? Matt Friese in the driver's seat. I think we all know that. But I've also said this whole time, and you guys could attest to it, because they said, I think Matt Turner's going to have a say in the end. He's at least going to give Mauricio Pochettino something to think about, because the one thing Matt Friese can't substitute is World Cup experience, right? It's not his fault. He just doesn't have that in his bag yet. We might be saying in 2030, Matt Friese has World Cup experience. We might say that. But that's the one thing that I get caught up on, because I know how difficult it was the first time around and how much more comfortable you felt at home. And I happened to be at home for the second World Cup that I played in, how much more comfortable you feel in the second World Cup. So, I don't know how this thing's going to turn out. If I had to bet today, Jimmy and Chuck, I put my money on Matt Friese. This is how it's going to turn out. But if you told me in July of 26 that something changed, look what happened in 2002. Man, it was Casey. And it was me, Casey, and Brad the whole time. It was Casey until the end, where Bruce Arena said, hold on. Brad's playing. I'm thinking Brad's playing a little bit more consistent. I like his shot stopping ability. I like the fact that he's long and direct and can be with his feet. All of a sudden, everything changed for Brad Friedel. Brad Friedel wasn't the guy before the 2002 World Cup. He was unbelievable in the 2002 World Cup because a coach said, "Oh man, I see something a little bit different here, and I'm going to make a change." We don't know Pochettino, right? We don't know what he could make a change.
Right.
You know, so yeah, it's a tough call. I put my money on Matt Freese, but I wouldn't be surprised if anything changed. I hope it doesn't. I hope they go and battle, and they're great in the beginning of the MLS season, and they're battling, and then we're like in whatever May or whatever that last game is before the World Cup. We're like, man, these guys are playing great. I love the battle. Like, I don't want to go into it going, man, neither guy, they don't look sharp, you know? Like,
yeah, that would be the concern.
You know, that's where I want to be.
All right, so that was a good interview and a great insight from both of you guys. But there's the one I really want to get to. I've been waiting all show to get to this one because there's a statement made by our very own Charlie Davies one time that he's faster than Jack McGlynn. Right now, he's faster than Jack McGlynn. And so Chuck got to interview Chuck McGlynn, and they got to talk about Jack's perceived lack of speed. Let's hear how that interview went.
So the elephant in the room, Jack and I just raced out there. It was neck and neck. But how have you improved your speed? Because that was a talking point. Playing on the right wing, you are a central player, but you have improved physically. Like how much do you work on your pace, your quickness?
Yeah, that's why I think the injuries helped me out a lot. I think that's given me a chance to build my body. I'm way more filled out, way more muscular, and I think it's improved my speed and power. I think a lot of people don't think I'm fast, but I know I'm quicker than most people think. I just put myself in positions where I don't really have to beat a guy with speed. I'm more like beat him with a pass, beat him with a dribble. So I put myself in those spots where I don't really have to push myself to sprint that much.
Well, you proved you're quick enough.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I mean, that goal against Turkey.
Yeah.
Hey, so you guys here now, all you call it what you want, guys. The Jimmy Conrad, Tony, he's quick enough. That's all you need to know.
Exactly.
Why are you throwing us under the bus
when
it was actually you? What is happening? What? I never
under the bus.
Yeah, I'm just including you in the conversation. I'm not throwing you under the bus.
Hey, those haters, Jimmy and Tony.
By the way,
listen, I think.
Time out. By the way, he knows I'm the first person to say he doesn't have speed. He knows that. I'm the one who said, you. Of course, that's.
I think he's being polite.
We addressed it. Yeah,
like, I use my brain, is what he's saying. I don't need to use any physical gifts like Charlie Davies. I use my brain to have success.
Exactly. No,
absolutely love it. That's great.
But talk about a top player in terms of his mentality, and you know, you have to have a sense of humor, right? And for me, that highlights, you know, maturity and growth in Jack McGlynn, and again, Pochettino loves what Jack McGlynn brings to the team in terms of his delivery, the way he sees the game, how he can strike a ball. Give him time and space, and he'll hurt you. And we've seen that in MLS. And I think MLS, because it can be so chaotic, him moving to Houston has actually helped them because they have to trust him to be the guy to break down opponents and make those key passes and be, a set piece a king for Houston Dynamo. So again, he's got another big couple of months to start Major League Soccer, and try and figure out, can he be included in this 26-man roster?
All right, we have a special photo coming up. Oh, there it is.
Hey!
I don't know if that's a starting line or what,
you, Charlie. But, that's the finish line, I think.
if you're just listening and not watching here on the Gloss America YouTube channel, it's Jack McGlynn and Chuck on the starting line, ready to go. Apparently, Jack said he would dust your ass. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what we're seeing here in a private chat from Ivis. This one is not
Ivis is just trying to. Ivis is trying to create smoke. That's what he's trying to do.
That is unbelievable. All right, well, that's it. This has been a fantastic show. I'm calling it. And I want to give a big shout out again to Earnie Stewart for coming on. I thought his interview was fantastic, and his stories. The jersey swap alone is the next level. I mean, he has set the bar. I don't think anybody's ever going to match that. We've peaked in that tradition, and obviously getting to hear from Jack McGlynn as well about his speed with Chuck is unbelievable. What a show. We're going to come back and join you on Thursday, like we do here live on the Gloss America YouTube channel, 10 a.m. Eastern. And just one last thing, and Chuck loves this. This is where I do my plugs. We got some Carabao Cup semifinals going on today and tomorrow. Final four: Newcastle versus Chelsea, and Newcastle versus Man City, and Chelsea versus Arsenal.
Where can you watch that, Jimmy?
You can watch it on Paramount Plus. So I'm glad.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Okay, today and tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you're making that happen. Those are some good games. Leg one, though. These are two-legged affairs in the semifinals of the EFL Cup. And, yeah, it should be good. Should be a lot of fun. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Hey, 10:30 a.m. Eastern start on Thursday, this coming Thursday.
Oh,
so we're bumping it back 30 minutes.
Bumping it back. Thanks for the reminder, Chuck.
But
Appreciate
just
you.
for everyone who's watching and listening, Paramount Plus today. You can subscribe, or you can just log on to your Paramount Plus app and watch
Chuck,
all
baby.
the games. You know what I mean?
I love it. Hey, I love it. Fantastic. All right, that's it. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you on Thursday.
Much love, everybody.
Later.